Liverpool beat West Ham 5-2 at Anfield with goals from Hugo Ekitike, Virgil van Dijk, Alexis McAllister, and Cody Gakpo. An actual disaster for Axel Disasi. To make it 5, don't think about that joke, it means nothing. I'm Chris, welcome to Cop That. Welcome to your calm, friendly, no clickbait, no knee-jerk, no drama, no bullshit look at the game. Episode 10. Let's get right into the game. Liverpool started well. Generally, not much happening for the first 5 minutes until a Szoboszlai corner is headed out. Ryan Gravenberch takes the ball down, feeds it through to Hugo Ekitike to smash in for a rare early Liverpool goal, settling the nerves. Great work from Gravenberch, lovely finish from Ekitike, and we're off to the races. Obviously coming from a Szoboszlai corner, a theme which would continue as round about 20 minutes later, another Szoboszlai corner is flicked on into the far corner by Virgil van Dijk. VAR check saying that Gomez was offside, who was offside, but not blocking the keeper's view. Goal given, 2-0. A few minutes later, a minor scare as a ball passed back to Alisson, who then very weirdly just tries to pass the ball out straight to Bowen. Luckily, it bounced right back to Alisson. No danger. And one lame West Ham penalty claim. And one half-decent chance that Alisson saves down low. Later, a Mo Salah corner comes in. It's flicked out. Well, the ball even touching the ground. Ekitike with a lovely cushion ball to McAllister, who smashes it into the roof of the net. First time via a West Ham head. 3-0 going into the break. And we're flying. Second half, we did not come out of the traps well. Around 49, 50 minutes. Crossing, quite an audacious cross with the outside of the boot from the right, is flicked on. Not in the best fashion by Kanate. It doesn't make it very far. The ball's fired back across the area. Across static defenders. And Thomas Soucek is there to just poke the ball in. Easy. West Ham back in it, 3-1. And there's a few not great chances. The game's getting a little bit end-to-end. You can feel a little bit of the nerves in case West Ham get the next goal. But there's nothing really major in between the first goal and when Liverpool get the fourth. Which is in the 70th minute. Some nice work from Hugo Ekitike. Gives the ball out to Gakpo on the left. Comes into the area. Does his classic. Cuts in on the right. And then puts the ball on the far corner via a deflection. 4-1. Surely now. Game over. Nope. 5 minutes later, a Jarrod Bowen corner goes over everybody in the middle. Alisson pulled into the group tussle that's going on in front of him. And Castellanos is at the back post to kind of just guide the ball in. It's 4-2. It just won't end, will it? Then in the 83rd minute, substitutions having a big effect. Rio is now on the left. Gakpo's playing through the middle. Frimpong's out on the right. Gakpo cuts across the pitch. Puts a lovely through ball into Frimpong, who's trying to fire it across the 6-yard box. The ball goes in off Disasi. It's 5-2, and surely now it's over. And it was, in fact, over. It was kind of a limp end to the game, to be honest. Not all that much happening. West Ham couldn't really get close to getting a third. It was an entertaining game. You know, those goals every few minutes, effectively. There was a end-to-end action, defensive and attacking fuck-ups all over the place. What was very evident, though, is that those individual errors that have actually cost us a lot of points this season, we're recovering a little bit better from them. I'd rather see them just wiped out of the game completely. I think, like a lot of people would. But generally speaking, we played okay. Wasn't the best performance recently. West Ham played quite well. Couldn't take many of the chances. But it was a really competitive game, and we needed, because there was parts of that game that were really scrappy. Really, everybody losing the ball. Liverpool, especially Kanate, played some bizarre passes. Like there's one of them, he literally just got the ball and just passed straight to fucking West Ham and then put his arms out. Like why was there a red shirt up there? But Liverpool were doing the classic thing of that putting unnecessary pressure on ourselves. But honestly, I thought there was periods in there where West Ham were putting some pressure on. Liverpool just got the ball down the other end of the pitch and knocked the ball around, just took the wind out of the sails. And that part of the game, I feel, is getting better. But we need to just cut out those errors that just keep putting us under pressure for no reason. But generally speaking, I'm not all that bothered about the performance when you win 5-2. I don't feel like a lot of people are. I think Slot said in his press conference there's games where we've played better than that and lost. And he's right, honestly. So I feel like performance has been a separate issue, a separate conversation this season, because I've mentioned this a few times in other videos. The result kind of affects how people see it, usually. But what happened yesterday is I was seeing people after the game commenting on, because like Liverpool have won, I think, was 6 out of the last 7. Only lost 2 in 21 games, something like that. It's actually pretty decent form. I know a lot of those earlier ones were draws. We've won 6 out of the last 7, which is a massive upturn from like earlier in the season losing 9 and 12. But I've seen people now like, will Liverpool really as good as 5-2 suggests? No. I'd say about half the time if someone wins 5-2, they're 5-2 good. Never tell the scoreline never really tells the entire story of a game. Sometimes it just fits. One team's dominant and they win. But a lot of the times, like, no, there's periods in that game where they had chances, and that all needs to be taken into account. But weirdly, when Liverpool were in form, things like stats, because there was games like, I've mentioned that Burnley game multiple times in the past, there's games like that and where we've been on top, not won. And you use the stats and go, well, another day we twat them. And that's, means nothing, we didn't win. This time we win 5-2, and I've seen people now start using the stats as, we weren't really that good. Be consistent, please. I know a lot of people had set the stall out early on, slot out and things like that, and they really thought it was going to happen, so they just really went for it, and it didn't happen, and now you're stuck in a position where you're like, well, shit, we've lost 2 of the last 21. Do I retreat? Do I say, okay, maybe we just give it more time? Or do I double down and start trying to fucking poke holes in everything? And the more vocal ones seem to have gone for that option, which I'm not a fan of. But what I am kind of happy, even though there was at times a little bit of anxiety in the stadium yesterday, I'm quite happy with how supporters in the stadium have generally been responded. They were close, kind of expected in the 3 o'clock kickoff. You feel like it's allowed a better atmosphere, under the lights. So I was expecting a few groans and things like that with it being a 3 o'clock on a Saturday. But generally speaking, the crowd's been pretty supportive recently, and it's coincided with an upturn in form. Still nervy moments, but less than there was previously. And I'm not putting it entirely down to that, but I feel like it does help, and it helps to settle the players. Like, if you make a shitty pass and we end up under pressure and the crowd starts getting on top of the team while the opposition is getting on top of the team, I don't feel like it helps. But I've been really happy with the way the supporters have been in the stadium over the last few weeks, and feel like a strong finish to the season and addressing some of the squad lack of balance in the summer. I feel like we can really go into next season with a much better outlook, much more solid outlook, because as it turns out, we all had like kind of high hopes this season. My hopes were going a little bit dipping the more players left and the more new players came in. My expectations were getting a little bit more realistic before the season even started, but I was still hoping for a good season. It hasn't panned out as well, or maybe I was just wrong and tried to define a good season in the wrong context because of all of those changes. But given where we are now, compared to where some people were projecting we were going to be, I'm feeling quite positive. And we've had, like yesterday, we were only verts away from having a look at our future front four with Frimpong, Rio, Hugo, and Verts behind them. You know what I mean? Like, I know Ekatike went off and Gakpo went to the middle, but we had to look at the wider side of it with Frimpong and Rio, that pace and the trickery down the wings, and they look like, if I was an opposition wing back, I'd be terrified, honestly, for over the next few years, because that's what we've got to look forward to. And that was my biggest positive that came out of it. It wasn't even the result, which was a positive. So I came out of that with a lot more and the hope for the future. Just generally, I was just pleased with the result. The performance could have been better, but it was nowhere close to the worst performance of the season. So, get the thumbs up from me. Fuck it. I'd rather play like that and win 5-2 than fucking relive the Burnley game where you smashed them and draw 1-1. So, yeah, all smiles that it was a really good win, was how close it took us to not just the top 4 or 5, but like the top 3. In all honesty, with Villa dropping points. So I had to look at the fixtures. When you look at Liverpool's fixtures between now and the end of the season, this is the league fixtures, obviously. We've got Wolves on Friday in the FA Cup. There's a watch along for that, by the way. Join in. We've got Wolves away on Tuesday, Tottenham at home on the 15th, Brighton away the 21st of March, Fulham at home on the 12th of April, and Everton away on the 18th of April. I'm going to compare that to Chelsea, who've got Arsenal away, that's later today, Aston Villa away, Newcastle at home, Everton away, and Manchester City at home. That's not a favourable bunch of fixtures. Man United, who are currently playing Palace, after that game, I've got Newcastle away, Villa at home, because that could be a big one. Villa have got a big say in this. Bournemouth away and Leeds at home. Could be worse. And Villa have got Chelsea at home, Man United away, West Ham at home, Forest away, and Sunderland at home. Out of all of the teams that are in the running for these places, Liverpool have got by far and away the best run to that finish line. I'll take scrappy wins in all of those games to get us over that line. And I'll put off any comment really on the performance until, well, next season. This is literally just about getting over the line at this point. And we've still got the FA Cup and the Champions League, which we'll go to in a sec. So I'll take a performance like yesterday and a 2-1 or 2-0 win every week. And I hope we're in agreement on that. I'd rather us blow teams away and win 3-4-5-0 every week, obviously. But I'm trying to think more realistic about how the league is this season, how teams have played against each other and everyone's taking points off each other. I'll take the scrappy wins all the way to the end of the season. We'll just do our good shit in the Champions League and the FA Cup. Anyway, let's have a look at the week ahead. Right, there's a quick turnaround in games. Apparently Florian Wirtz is not going to be fit for Tuesday. I think that was confirmed. Friday might be a stretch, so he's going to be missing again. We've got Tuesday and Friday. Both of them, we're just spending a week in Wolverhampton. Wolves have just beat Villa. Of course, they start beating the teams at the upper end of the table right before we play them twice. But I'm still optimistic, to be honest. I feel like Villa are actually more unpredictable than we are. Like, you have no idea what Villa's going to turn up. Ours has been kind of, instead of being like that, it's been kind of that. It's like decent shit. And I feel like we've actually got a better chance with it. We did struggle a little bit at home against Wolves. Wolves have, generally speaking, played quite well against the teams at the upper end of the table. You know, Arsenal struggled with them twice. United, City struggled with them. I think we beat them 2-1. Was it at Anfield? And that was a pretty rough game. But Wolves are going to have a hefty say in how the rest of our season goes here. Because there's the league game and the FA Cup on Friday, which I know it's out of the league place in the Champions League and the FA Cup. The FA Cup is the third priority in that. I want to see us go really far in that competition. At least make it, just at least make it to Wembley. At least make it to the semis, because we don't know how the Champions League's going to pan out. And obviously, the league is the most unpredictable part of the whole thing. But yeah, in terms of team news, there's only really Florian Wirtz and all the other injuries that we've already got. Do we have players playing Saturday and Tuesday and then rotate heavily Friday? Do we rotate a bit on Tuesday and then a bit more on Friday, or rotate back? I don't know how this week's going to go, in all honesty. And it's one of those weeks where I am optimistic, but there's a little bit of, that anxiety right there where you're like, this week could kind of fuck everything up. I don't like those weeks. Right, so just before we end, I know it's shorter, but I've done the player ratings are normally in this video. I'm doing them separate now. So if you haven't seen that, go and check out them. I feel like I was a little bit harsh on Ekatike. I think I was. It's who's on the ball the most. That's the bit that... I don't know. Maybe I was too harsh. I'm still sticking with my man of the match, though. Can't change that now. No. But anyway, I just wanted to give a little glance at the Champions League draw, because obviously this is the first video I've done since the draw. You'd like to think that we're happy with the draw that we got for this round, especially with the second leg being at Anfield. But there's a chance for... we haven't played Chelsea in the Champions League for a while. That used to be a fucking weekly thing at one point. But there's a chance for another showdown with PSG in the next round. I'm not really thrilled with either outcome of that. And then obviously you look at... there's Atalanta, Bayern, City and Real Madrid. And I feel like we've landed on the shit side of the draw. Again, like, I'd fully expect us to beat Galatasaray. I'd expect us to beat Chelsea if Chelsea get past PSG. I'm not entirely sure what to expect if we get PSG. But City and Madrid, there's a big one going out there, obviously. You never know with Atalanta, but you'd expect Bayern. Right, personally, I'm expecting it to be PSG versus Liverpool and Madrid versus Bayern. Now, the Madrid City game could... I don't know. It's more just a first instinct. I'm saying Madrid, but I don't know. The other side, the only really intriguing one on the other side is Newcastle and Barca. Newcastle don't do too bad in the Champions League. So I'd expect Liverpool to beat Chelsea. I don't know about PSG. I feel like Bayern are going all the way to the semis, at least. On the other side of it, I mean, Arsenal are making it to the semis, aren't they? I mean, you don't know that fucking Bodo Glimt. I feel like they could beat anyone. But I feel like Arsenal are going to the semis on that side. And you go with Barca, but I wouldn't put it past Newcastle pulling off a shock there. I'm going to say Arsenal and... do you know what? I'll go with the shock option. I'm going to go with Arsenal, Newcastle, Bayern, and Liverpool. I feel like we can. I feel like we've been better recently, especially in the Champions League. So I feel like it's going to be Liverpool, Bayern, Newcastle, and Arsenal. Yeah. I'm putting this out there into the universe. That's what I think the semi-final's going to be. I'm not going to make too many predictions after that. We'll see where we are when we get to the semi-final time. But that's what I'm looking at right now. I feel like we've landed on the unfavourable side, but I'm still pretty confident that we can go deep into this. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty positive. Even on that side, I'd feel way more positive on Arsenal's side, but you can only play the hand that you dealt, right? So yeah, this is going to be a shorter video. I had a list of things to talk about, and every time I do that, I feel like I've missed something, but I don't think I have. I don't think I have, right? We'll just call it there because we've got videos coming up this week. Wolves Tuesday. The player ratings should be right after that. Episode 11 of this will be the day after that, where we look back at the game, we look at the FA Cup game. Then Friday's a busy one. Friday, we've got a live watch along of the FA Cup game with Wolves. Player ratings will probably be done on that live stream. So if anyone's around, we'll try and maybe do a group effort. See if we can come to a consensus. So we'll have the player ratings. Then Saturday will be episode 12 of this. And then that's it. We just look. After that, we just look to the next week. That's next week's problem. So I'm going to have a fuckload of editing to do this week. And it's lucky that I enjoy editing. Yeah, thanks for watching this little ramble. And I'll hopefully see you Tuesday. Tuesday will be the next video. It'll be late posting, because it's obviously a later kickoff. And obviously the live stream will be starting right before, 15 minutes before kickoff. And the player ratings will be separated out and posted again late because it's a late kickoff. Until all of them, happy Sunday, or Monday, or whenever the fuck you watch this. Happy day. And as always, up the Reds, slot in.